The camera opens up. 328 AU on bot call. Hell, Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Towards a barracks of the Colonial Administration Army. In Colony, it is currently 6 a.m. when the morning trumpet plays out to alert everyone that the day has, in fact, begun. And inside the barracks, we come to a singular bunk where we find
Uh, would it be what is the colonial administration term for like a trainee? Is it cadet? Is it
I believe your current status is recruit.
we find recruit leap. Uh, he is of relatively standard build. He's about 5'11", weighs around about 70 to 72 kilograms right now. He's got some sort of dirty blonde or brown hair that's a little bit curly, uh, and sort of a little bit flowy. It forms big locks. And as the morning trumpet sounds, with the reluctance one would expect of a young man roused before his time, is sort of blinking himself awake in his bunk and beginning to shift out of bed.
Then I'd actually like you to roll me. Let's see.
Oh boy,
You
my
know,
first roll.
yeah, your very first roll. Oh, poise motor.
All right. Uh, should we bother doing any kind of narrative points for this?
No, that won't be necessary.
All right. Poise motor. That's a target of 7. That is one success.
One success. So now, Emet, you leap out of the bed and start scrambling to get dressed. And in the 5 minutes given to you, you manage to do so, and you stand at attention as the drill sergeant comes in every day and grills the entire barracks.
Who's getting it today?
What looks like to be recruit Dieter. Who? Oh,
Unlucky son of a bitch.
yes, and it's all over a untied lace. Mm-hmm. And after that episode, you go eat. You've been here for about 2 weeks now. You should be moving on to technical training relatively soon. It's this week's supposed to be the first week of technical training. How have you been finding the food? And the entire experience.
I think that the food is not too dissimilar to what he was used to on Prometheus, in that it was nutritious, but relatively monotonous. I think what he's a little bit not used to is sort of the strict ritualness surrounding eating in the mess hall. Um, you know, you sit here and you eat this way and you eat in this time, that kind of thing.
I see. So not a fan.
He's not a fan. It's I imagine not unfamiliar. It's like, scarfing down a meal on a break from work at the docks, but not a fan nonetheless.
I see, I see. So how'd you end up here?
Emmett was unfortunate enough to be left orphaned, and by orphan I mean, of course, a full citizen of the Federation. After the incident at Prometheus Colony, a small roving moonlet of Saturn, which unfortunately was badly damaged and evacuated very recently. He drifted to another colony. Uh,
I see.
and then was forced to either find less tasteful work or to find a position with those who could pay enough to get the debt collectors off his back.
I see.
It also doesn't hurt that the colonials, the Colonial Administration Army, is ostensibly fighting against the NLF,
Oh, so you have a
who
specific,
he bears a grudge against.
specifically the NLF, not the nationalists.
Specifically, the NLF he holds responsible for Prometheus.
I see.
How much of that is federal propaganda, and how much of that is exactly the truth? He may be too young quite to figure that out.
I see. I see. Well, anyways, the kid next to you says, "So what did they put you on for technical?"
What have they put me on for technical?
So I would like you to roll me tact politics or tact investigate.
Tact investigate I can do. That's a target of 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's an 8.
As far as you can tell, they sort of just pulled it out of a hat. Also, you did fail that, so don't forget the click box.
I did. Yep.
And you have been put on machine gunner training.
It's better than the infantry.
No, that is in the infantry. Emmett, how good are you with a
At
firearm?
least he passed qual. That's about it.
Any thoughts about you being chosen to handle the machine gun?
I think Emmett thinks that they must be desperate or stupid. Maybe both. Vehicle driver, something like that, maybe he could. He thinks, maybe
S-
that I would have been good at.
some kind of technical training?
He thinks to himself, I might have, I might have been a better mechanic or a truck driver than this.
And
Maybe
yet.
he even says that to the other kid.
Wait, what?
Oh, they've got me on machine gunner. training.
You're a terrible shot.
Yeah, I know. Uh, Tell that to them though. They put a wrench in my hand. Maybe I'd be some use.
Well, at least pay's good.
Yeah, that's something, isn't it?
Oh, you hear,
What about you?
oh, me? Let's see.
Yeah,
They want me with the shoe department.
like fitting and fixing.
Yeah, with the cobblers.
I guess. Well, I wouldn't want to walk around in broken boots. So
Scratches his
I
head.
guess every job's an important job in the army, huh?
Yeah. I, I really do wonder how they make these decisions.
You know, you'd almost think they're just pulling names out of a hat.
He shrugs his shoulders. Beats me.
You were saying something else?
Oh, you hear Deborah gave uh, Nathan's a bloody nose.
I heard something about it. I'll admit I haven't been keeping up with the news that well, but you know, people talk. Where was it at?
Oh, the Royal Road. Nathan's was trying to get back to Republic City a second time. Stopped him dead in his tracks. For the
Out of character, above the table. Was Nathan's heading to help the Republic or go after the Republic there?
to help them. So there are three essentially smuggling routes. Two to the outer pocket, one to connect the two inner pockets. So there's the Nukian route and the Red Road that connects main Republican territory to the Communards. And there's the Royal Road, which connects the inner warlords to the main Republican territories.
Hmm. I think that well, Emmett doesn't like the warlords. He doesn't hate the Republic, so he sort of gives a approving nod but keeps his mouth shut.
Well, with dinner, no, sorry, breakfast having been done with, you gotta go to technical training now.
Yep. Can't be late.
Cannot, so you end up going to the range. And when you get there, the instructor, a Sergeant Zhao, has a light machine gun in front of him. And he says, as recruits, that's this is the LMG 6, the main support weapon of the Federal Armed Fighting Man's infantry squads. It has a rate of fire of 800 rounds per minute and a magazine of and a belt length of 50 rounds. It is chambered in an FOD 6 millimeter, and I expect all of you, by the end of today, to have mastered disassembly and reassembly. Additionally, hey, after we get through assembly training, and we will start our familiarizing you all with the firing characteristics of the LMG6. Emet?
Sir.
No, this is Gomine speaking.
Oh, okay.
You
You're right. If it was the character, it would have been Cadet Leap, wouldn't it?
recruit. Cadet implies officer.
Right, right.
You are essentially given a piece of paper with instructions and this gun in front of you. And you have to make heads and tails of how to disassemble it.
This he's comfortable doing. You know, taking machines apart and putting them back together. That's something he's done for a long time. So I think he's going to give the instructions the once over, and then start essentially feeling out all the pieces and how they come apart and go together.
I would like you to roll me keen engineering. And in this room,
All right, that's
there's around, I don't know, 15 other people doing much the same. Lots of eyeballs who may or may not be looking at you.
all right.
Which means that triggers your performance anxiety. So a skill
That is
of 5 or 6 must be re-rolled from the first result.
the first result was 10 over 9, which I am now re-rolling.
And you said you failed that, so that means you get to click engineering.
And the second result is a 9 equal to 9.
Describe to me how you disassemble this thing then.
It's not done with a particular aplomb or uh, like astonishing skill, but with one success, I think that he takes to disassembly like somebody who is handy with machines. He sort of each part he looks back and forth to the sheet of paper, sort of begins sorting the parts next to it as the machine gun is reduced down to its frame, and then begins reassembling. And he probably makes one or two mistakes, but quickly rectifies them, leaving him certainly not in first, certainly not in last.
I see. And you do this for a bit. And then, of course, at the end of the day, you are brought to the firing range with the thing. And, Sergeant Zhao gives a demonstration of how to use the thing. Where, he walks up to the stand, shoulders it as it's put down on the bipod, and lets off a burst of a couple of rounds towards the target downrange. And as he fires in, it's not a very tight spread. And then he goes to say to the class, what is wrong with what I just did?
Emmett sort of looks to his, like, see if anybody else is going to speak.
And recruit Dieter from earlier raises his hand. He's like, the rounds are all over the place. And then Sergeant Zhao says, no, there was nothing wrong with what I just did.
Mecha, the player, knows the purpose of machine gunnery. I don't
Then,
know if Emmett knows the purpose of machine gunnery.
you can just say it so I can just answer it.
Sir, is it the case that the instructor's firing was not intended to demonstrate uh, was intended to demonstrate the purpose of machine gun fire in suppression, sir?
Exactly, recruit. And then he walks over to you, Emma, and says, do I look like a sir to you?
He fucking like sort of like ugh for a moment because this adult is much bigger than he is. Um,
This might surprise you, recruit Leap, but happen to work for a living.
is the term in the Colonial Army drill instructor or drill sergeant?
Instructor, but you can just call his rank as sergeant, so that is also acceptable.
Understood, Sergeant. Insert name here.
Zhao.
Sorry. Understood, Sergeant Zhao.
He shakes his head. Well, seeing as you've just volunteered yourself, Elf, recruit Leap, he comes over to the machine gun. Please demonstrate a eight with the LMG6.
Emmett sort of steps up to the stand where the machine gun is set up and sort of does his best to imitate Sergeant Zhao's stance and grip and
Before you fire,
sights the target.
before you start, he puts his hand in front of your face. There are two problems with Recruit Leap's stance. First off, he moves your foot a little bit wider. Footing is important, and you're supposed to hold onto the trigger for these guns for quite a while. And if your stability isn't any good, it will knock you over, or you lose sight of the target. Second, and then he messes with your hand and loosens it a little bit. When you fire, you want to use the natural recoil to increase the cone of fire in front of you. If you want to do tight spreads, you hold the grip tighter. Whereas holding it slightly loosely, it helps rattle it about as you fire via the natural recoil. Now, please, go ahead. Recruit Leap.
Taking the instructions of the instructor into account, Emmett sort of takes a deep breath in, sights in on the target, and squeezes the trigger, just as, the sort of steady squeeze he was taught in basic.
Tact firearms, please.
All right, that's a 6, and that is unfortunate. That's an 11.
Ooh.
These are going to dice jail.
As you're firing, you do as Sergeant Zhao instructed, and you hold it kind of loosely so it can rattle a bit. However, Emet,
A little bit too loose.
a bit too loose, as instead of hitting the target and directly in front of you, the paper man that's been drawn out, you hit the paper man to the left of you as well, on the parallel lane.
I think that gets like a little bit of a startled sort of ah
Well, and then
out
you
of Emmett.
then you hear not Sergeant Zhao. You said what? You hear someone say, "What in the goddamn recruit?"
Uh, Emmett sort of like snaps to attention essentially.
And then you hear footsteps come over, and you see a major.
Uh, salute immediately.
Do you have any idea how big of a fuck up that would have been if this was that was a real live target?
Emmett thinks for a moment, and to understand what happened just happened correctly, you said that he hit both targets.
Yes, when you so along the lane that you were supposed to be firing in, there was a paper target. Oh, down maybe 30 meters,
Uh,
and the lane parallel to you also has one out there.
um,
And you,
Goldmine, I think I need to roll something. I think I, I think I need to roll something to avoid being a smartass here.
I suppose this should be
Calm composure.
calm composure. Yes, this makes sense.
Target of 4. No, that's a failure.
By how
Um,
much?
uh, by a lot, by 3.
Ooh, yeah, just like let it go, let it all out.
Sir, if this was combat and those were both targets, I would have hit both of them, sir.
No, you just hit a civvy.
And his eyes go wide.
Unless you are intending to hit a target at it shouldn't ever be hit. We live. These are space colonies. Hayes. Anytime you pull the trigger, or whatever you're firing has to hit something eventually. And it is our job as Federation soldiers to know exactly how much force to apply in any given situation.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, hey, that was some piss poor marksmanship, recruit. Blanketly missing the target would have been better than that. Because as the sergeant here has instructed you, the point is suppression, and so a direct hit is not necessary. What do they even have you doing here, recruit? Maybe you ought to be bumped back to rifleman?
Sir, sir, they have respectfully, sir, this recruit believes that his skills are ill-suited to infantry uses, sir.
Recruit, then what are your skills if, you know, the captain was so ill informed about them?
I think like he's sort of like gradually coming to realize, oh, I'm talking back to a superior officer. Oh, this is uh hmm. But he started now and he can't stop
You
because if he stops, that's
That it would be
he's gonna get it even worse.
insubordination because he's actually asked you a direct
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Sir, this recruit is an experienced vehicle operator and mechanic, sir.
What vehicles? What is the nature of your experience?
Uh, the term is it civil frame or worker frame?
Thing is, both of those are colloquialisms.
Uh,
They're both acceptable terminology.
yeah. Sir, with worker frame, sir, inside a colony.
How much experience?
He sort of like looks up to the side for a second. I think if it's 238 now, you said? Sorry, 228?
Uh,
So he'd be
328.
15, 328. So he'd be 15 right now.
Not that they know that.
5 years, sir. 5 years experience, sir.
He shares the look with Sergeant Shao and says, I would like to talk to Crutely, please follow me.
He's got a big uh-oh look on his face.
And, after being walked out of the room, this major turns to you and says, if I'm to understand this correctly, recruit, you have 5 years of experience already with walker frames, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the captain is not aware of this, correct?
It wasn't seen as relevant by my intake officer, I suppose, sir.
Were you at least queried about any relevant experiences?
Was he?
That's for you to decide in this very moment.
I think that probably whichever colonial officer was doing his intake was lazy. No, sir.
He stops and says, so if I'm to understand this correctly, your intake officer at no point asked you about your skills you have acquired in civilian life.
That is the case, sir.
And no time in these last 3 weeks has anyone in this training facility asked you about any of your prior skills.
None of the instructors, sir.
I see. And he takes out a piece of paper. I want you to report, or to company, to Battalion CP at 7 o'clock tomorrow. I am going to go over you. I'm going to have someone go over with you, all relevant experience you have, to see if you have anything more valuable to do than fire a machine gun.
Thank you, sir. I'm not very good with machine guns, sir.
That was quite evident. Get back in the air.
Emmett gives a nod and sort of looks to the instructor as like, I'm following you, right? Essentially, that's the look.
I see. Emet,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to make me keen academics.
In academics, uh, that's a 6, and that is a 3.
4 successes. Emet, you try to think about who the hell that was. When, it strikes you. Let's see exactly. Just trying to remember terminology and such. That was Major Daniel Hal Cuthworth. perhaps one of the youngest people to ever make major and soon to be lieutenant colonel.
What would a Cronian know about what he's been up to here in the like in my lifetime, essentially?
Oh,
What's the thing I would have heard in the news, maybe?
not in the news, but he is known in the military for two things. First off, he enlisted at an underage, illegally via the
Hmm,
merchant
that's
marine.
familiar.
Second, actually, this might be better. Three things. Sonia Chow gave him command of the Colonial Marines illegally for like 4 years. And, the Colonial Marines are, in fact, special forces. The third thing you would have known is after, you know, Croncom found out about this, he was taken off that and given command of a group of unruly and demoralized infantry battalion, the 1090, which is currently within the top 3 percentile of infantry battalions in Saturn. After he worked it over for 2 years.
I think that sort of like his response to this is less like, "Wow, I'm impressed by that his military history," and more, "Oh wow, I hope he doesn't figure out what I'm doing."
I see.
Because like in Emmett's mind, if there's anybody who's gonna cotton on to what's up, it's probably the guy who's done this before. I think Emmett's gonna go like, "I gotta start fake shaving."
This could be that is a very amusing image to me. Well, the next day comes and you arrive at Battalion CP as ordered. And you go through the process of explaining your prior work history.
Hmm.
And then you go about your normal day. And at the end of the day, you get a piece of paper informing you that you are hereby promoted to sergeant, and then and in the same communique, I, you have been applied and accepted to the Titans Commissioning School and transferred to the Space Army. Signed,
I think like
Major
in the
Daniel
same
Hal Cuthbert.
I think that as Emmett sort of folds the piece of paper and puts it in his uniform breast pocket, he sort of like has the twin thought of, "I'd better pack real quick," and what? But the "I'd better pack real quick" wins out over standing there dumbfounded as he begins to pack his duffel, his ship bag.
Very bizarre circumstances.
Um, I make sure to say goodbye and good luck to Dieter.
Dieter,
Uh,
when you say that, it
um,
looks as almost as if you're about to be executed. You're being walked up to the gallows.
Uh, what colony am I on again?
This is Botcol.
I'm just trying to find the map real quick.
It's not a major colony.
If I'm ever in Bat Call again, and I need shoes, I'll look for you, huh?
I'll go. Well, you'd have to go talk to whatever regiment I get thrown into.
Hey, stay safe out there, okay?
Yeah, you too, Leap.
And then, sort of outward through the door, I guess. Big ass duffel bag over his back.
And you walk into the bright light outside, and when you step out of it, it is 3:30, and you have just walked upon on. Actually, it's 3:29, and you have just walked into flight school.
I think that, Emmett is at this point a slight bit taller. He was luckily for him, he hit his growth spurt early and hasn't been growing too fast since then. Um, Still no facial hair. He's 16. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's obviously clean shaven. It's the military.
Yes, yes, yes. And unless, of course, you have a regimental tradition that says otherwise.
Uh, um, and we are on Titan now, right?
Yes, yes, you are. You're on the Titan Flight School.
So I have just like a question about what is this like on on a surface dome under the clouds, or is it like on a platform above them?
In Titan, there are both in existence. Let's see. One moment. You're in Fort Westmoreland, which is in fact on the surface of Titan.
So overhead is like deep, deep orange,
Yeah, pretty much.
and all the light that's in here would be artificial because none of it's making through the Titan's massively thick atmosphere.
Yeah, I know.
It's not too different from back home, really, being working in the rocks.
From what you've read, it's a very Lunan experience, which what you're getting right now. Are
All
you
right, let's figure out the first order of business.
well?
Go ahead.
You know. So, you've gone through your officers training and sergeants and CO training, which in a very truncated form, as befitting of the colonial administration army. Technically speaking, when you did that, you were doing it through the C, you know, the CAAS, despite being in the space army. Just to move things along. So, in grand total, that took you about 9 months to complete. Before you got your commission. And you've been here for a few months. And the trainers you're on are older Jamesbury twos. Not quite outdated, but they are noticeably older than a lot of the stuff fighting in Saturn.
Uh, would my judgment of these trainer units suggest to me that these are old Jamesbury's modified in '03 or Jamesbury's made in '03?
These are definitely been refurbished. They're not factory now.
I think that's sort of like that's endeared them to him, I think, very greatly.
I see. And for today's docket, you, Emmett, have a live exercise.
Is this his first one?
Yes.
He's sort of like, you know, deep breaths. You've done this. You've done everything that's happening here before, just not all at once.
Yeah, so a lot of your training up to this point has been. So you know how to fly a walker frame. That part came to you pretty easy. It was the actual fight and not get shot down, which was the new factor.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of your training up to this point has, been familiarization with the walker frame itself, which you've, passed with flying marks, and some like isolated incident, like sections of like how to use the weapons. But a lot of that has been via simulators, as opposed to the real deal. Feeling the actual G forces on you and still trying to hit a target, which is a very different
Hmm.
experience. And Emmett, you are told that back on back in Blackwood, and Earth, they do have simulators that can give you that experience without having to get in an actual walker frame of experiencing the G's. But on Titan, there is no such equipment, so you're doing things the old-fashioned way.
Oh, that's what we do out here, isn't it? We make do.
It's very, very simple. So instead of fighting static targets, you're up against Second Lieutenant Watson. Call sign Sherlock. And speaking of call signs, what call sign have they given you, Emmett?
God, my mind has gone entirely blank. Um, this is dumb, but jump rope because he's always getting tangled up.
Already, Jumprope. So how are you feeling about this little fight?
How well do I know Watson or Sherlock rather?
He's part of your same flight training flight. So as long as you've been here, he's been here.
Hmm. Do I happen to have a sense of his sort of strength or weakness at a particular aspect of combat?
He's very nervous, easily excitable.
Hmm. All right. I think that as the hour approaches, Emmett will make sure to wish Sherlock good luck.
Like what? Eyes jump rope. And the two of you walk over to your walker frames and get in. You've both been given rifles with paint rounds. Uh, and there are instructors on the field to observe and make decisions about the matches.
With regards to the beam sabers, is it just essentially a paint stick?
Yeah, it's a stick with paint on it.
Yep. What is the battlefield for this simulation like?
The surface of Titan.
All right.
Because Fort Westmoreland is entirely militarized. There's no civilian population. It's actually mostly a bunker.
Years are turning in Jumprope's head.
Well, what are the gears?
In 1980, 1980, 1981, the scientific knowledge known about Titan was that it was extremely cold and that its atmosphere had trace elements that scientists believe indicated oceans of liquid hydrocarbons, and oceans of that could only exist under not quite cryogenic temperatures, but certainly very cold ones, and that uh, those ponds and oceans and seas created by the liquid rains on Titan's surface could be useful. If, for example, um, Sherlock was able to be led out over a pond or ocean or body of water, well, body of liquid, that it could be kicked up into a haze or other sort of diversionary or perhaps even disabling effect. For example, if I don't know how well Walker frames extremely cold liquids, but I imagine that just as on Earth, extremely cold temperatures often make things work worse. That may be the case here.
Alrighty. I will allow it. So, jump rope. I hand to you the baton. What do you want to do?
So are we sort of like just flying out across the surface right now?
Well, what's essentially happened is the both of you have been taken to jumping off points within the area as your starting position, and then over the radio you are told to come to begin.
All right. I think that jump rope will begin to circle sort of the comet area, doing his best to sort of stay low, but not low enough that he's kicking up any sign of his passing, and just keep an eye out for Watson and try to get the drop on him. So find him before he's found.
Tact, awareness, mobility.
Act 4, 3, 5. That is 9. That is a 1, a 3, and a 1.
That's a potential point.
That is that adds up to 5 under 12.
How many successes?
5 under 12 should be 8, I think.
Well, I'll be. I also got 5 under 12. Exactly. In a tiebreaker time.
Okay.
Ooh, that was a 6.
That was a 3.
You win, as, it seems like Sherlock has gotten the same idea. And you spot him sulking about the field.
I think that what I'd like to do here is fire around from my mock rifle in order to uh, sort of kick up, uh, you know, clouds of liquid methane or whatever other chemical is making up the body of this body of water. Uh, so it sort of becomes a spray that obscures my approach as I close in.
Poise Slight Systems.
All right, it's going to be a 9. This could be difficult. I'm not great at sleight. That is a 1, a 3, and a 6. I'm gonna re-roll the 6 using sleight edge. There's so many re-roll mechanics on this character. Just forced re-roll and non-forced re-roll.
Just always be re-rolling.
Gamble core. That is 3, 5, 1. So that is
1 success.
9, 1 success.
Which means you've inflicted a -1 on Sherlock. And you said you were trying to close in?
Yeah, I'm trying to sort of close in before he can get clear of the cloud.
And when you closed in, what were you trying to do exactly?
I am closing in to go for a melee strike. So basically, riding uh, a cushion of thruster jet air in Titan's thick atmosphere as I sort of keep low to the ground over whatever hills are on the approach.
Alrighty, please make me a snap swipe.
Snap swipe is poise reactor melee. That is an 11 for me. Holy shit!
What?
That's 3 1s.
Oh, another potential point.
So that's 9 successes, I think. Let me
No,
11.
that's not how criticals work. It's qualitatively different.
Yeah, that my luck was so cold earlier, but I guess it turned around.
Now you have the sauce, as you see um Sherlock through the Sherlock's Jamesbury too. appear through the smoke as it takes a single step to its right before you step forward and.
I think that it's just like drawing the because this is animated in Japan. It's a traditional kendo sort of upward diagonal strike that sort of paints a line across the Jamesbury from its hip to its shoulder.
Which, if that was a real beam saber, you would have vaporized him. As you both hear the instructor say, match.
My Jamesbury holds out I guess it'd be its left hand because that's not holding the mock saber right now and offers it for a handshake.
As you open up your radio again, you get a video link. It says, damn, you got me good.
Hey, you weren't so bad yourself. If I wasn't so fast, you might have got the drop on me instead.
I'll say it when I believe it.
I gotta say, these Jamesburys move a heck of a lot better than a worker frame.
What? I, they're not shit cans on Jumprope. They really ought to be. These tax dollars better be well spent.
Hey, these old things are holding up pretty good, you know? It takes a lot of loving work from maintainers and modifiers to keep them up to date. This
Modifier.
thing might be from '03, but I don't know, I think it could keep up still. I used to pilot something about 30 years older than this.
Well, I doubt you had anyone shooting at you.
Well, that's true. Uh, Still, these things aren't so bad.
Could be worse. We could be stuck in Galgaloos.
The Galgaloo is how old now?
Let's see. It first came out in the 250s.
I love my Model T.
And it's 220, it's 329 right now.
So it's about 80, 90.
It's 80 or so years old. Older than your grandparents.
Come on, let's get back inside. I'll buy you something.
Sad I could use a drink after that.
It's cold out here, isn't it? Let's get something hot. It's cold out here.
And you go back to walk to Fort Westmoreland to go get a drink. Emmett, how would you describe the rest of your flight school experience?
I think it's sort of a lot of uh he's making friends with a lot of these people. He is a reasonably personable young man. Um these are all people he has something in common with. They like machines, they like flying them. Some of them might like working on them. He probably mingles with any of the mechanics that are here. Uh sort of bonding over that.
What do you do in your
Um
spare time?
I think in his spare time, um, what of it that there is, it sort of alternates between being back at his dorm and sort of working on little personal electronic projects, you know, fixing things for other recruits
These are
and
cadets now. Oh, actually, they're not even cadets. They are other lieutenants. You're in
fixing
flight
things for
school.
the other lieutenants and you know, somebody's watch here, a music player there, that kind of thing, to earn a little bit of extra money. Um, and he probably explores the city a lot because compared to Prometheus, this is the nicest place he's ever been.
It's not really a city. It is a fortress, straight up a fortress.
Mm.
There's no civilian population on Fort Westmoreland.
Then I think
However,
that like if there are chances to go to a civilian place, that's something he would do. Like go up to
a,
a civilian colony in
a weekend
orbit or something like
pass
that.
is 3 days, and that is enough time, orbits permitting, to go visit Station Cogni or Station Eden, which do have civilian populations.
I think that when he can get the chance, he does that because it's it's hard to explain, but like it's both familiar and unfamiliar because on one hand it's back in orbit, it's back in one simulated G probably, but also it couldn't be more different because Titan is these stations are, I presume, the beneficiaries of soldiers with disposable income.
You could put it that way. Titan is very militarized. It's actually a lot of these stations. These are the first time you've ever seen a station that is majority non-Cronian in Saturn.
So it couldn't be more different, but it's still a little familiar. And aside from his dreidel, you know, not many things remind him of home these days.
Although you can always go take a look at Saturn and the rings. You have actually a
The rings are beautiful.
you have a great seat to see everything all at once.
From this far away, Saturn is a pretty beautiful sight in the sky.
That it is. And due to your tinkering, the mechanics have in fact noticed all this. And you've been selected as a pilot for one of the newer rocker frames.
I think that, on the last day he's going to be flying his Jamesbury, which he calls Jimmy affectionately. He, basically gives it a goodbye tune up before he goes home for the day. But he is an enthusiast for machines, certainly, and is
But
excited to see what this new Walker frame could be.
well, that is because that's relevant skill because the Thornburn, the successor to the older colonial Camburn, is brand spanking new, and they don't know all the problems just yet. And your ability to notice when something is wrong will probably be valuable to solve teething issues.
I think he's excited about the prospect of sort of a machine that has unknowns.
And you're sitting in the hangar with these things. There's only two here right now. and they're both the two-seater variant, which means you have a Wizzo now. Would there be anything in particular you would try to do to get to know your Wizzo? A second lieutenant, Emin Bado Nance.
Um, what does like? Could I get like a general physical description of Emin?
Emin is about 5'2", brown hair, blue eyes. Lunan.
All right. Um, I think that sort of if there's like a traditional Cronian icebreaker, he might think to do that first. Uh, um, that maybe he would compare sort of like essentially, oh, what have you flown? Kind of comparing notes.
Where do you start this conversation?
I think he would have this conversation probably. This seems like a mess hall conversation.
Well, then Emin turns to you from eating her food and says, colony fighters before this.
Colony fighters. Let me go look at what that is.
It is a two-seater walker frame that eschews typical beam rifles for all kinetic weapons. It's so they do less collateral damage inside a colony or a dome city. They're a bit slower, but they generally shred in melee.
A coffee, huh? That suits me fine. I'm a bit more useful up close.
Just make sure we don't get shot down and leave the negotiating sticks to me.
Negotiating sticks being.
Oh, probably a tonfa. Big metal stick you use to beat someone to death.
Gotcha. Well, that's what you're there for, right?
That's what I just said.
Right. So, do you know how soon we get to try this thing out?
Oh, we're probably gonna be. From what I've been told, and you're saying this in pretty early 3:30, like January. Is we're probably gonna have a few months of just running it through its paces before we get see any action in the field.
Well, that's plenty of time to get to know the thing for sure.
Yeah, I doubt we'll see any action anytime soon. Which just means we have
We
to
are.
refine our craft.
Suppose it does.
What does the thought of combat make you feel, Emmett?
Trepidation, but also anticipation.
And, despite you not knowing, that's a very apt feeling, as, the audience would know that the United Front winter offensive is soon to fall, and you will be soon thrown into combat.